Great. Thank you very much. So as you can see, Teresa and I are your instructors. My name is Dawn Firestone, and I'll introduce myself later on. But at the moment, I would like to ask my colleague Teresa to introduce herself. Teresa?
Okay, yeah. I'm Teresa Townsend, and I live on the east coast of the States in Virginia. And my background is actually in mental health, but that was many, many years ago. And I taught therapeutic horseback riding for 18 years. And as my children were searching their adult future, going to college, married and such, I discovered personal historians. And I grew up around a lot of family. I grew up stories, and stories were just an important part of my life. But as most people, as people died, they took the stories with them. And when I found the personal historian association, I was like, oh, this is just my life, and didn't know it, wanting to help people tell and preserve their stories. So I have several certifications, one in life story and reminiscence, life story work and reminiscence, and of course, guided autobiography. Because I also love working with old photographs, I added Photo Manager to my profile, and am a certified member and master class graduate of the Photo Managers. And I just love helping people put their stories and their photographs together. Top of my list, though, is the workshops. I love guided autobiography. I love working with groups, and I am just so excited to be hosting another one and working with Dawn. It's just a great fit in my life, and never dreamed that I would be here, but you never know what you're going to find. So welcome. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you, Teresa. Well, as you know, my name is Dawn Firestone. Like Teresa, I'm really passionate about guided autobiography. The route that I took to get here was a bit circuitous, probably starting off in research science, moving into public relations, and then being the executive director for 2 nonprofits. I also became a professional coach accredited by the International Coach Federation, and was the president of the local Ottawa chapter for the last 2 years and on the board for 7. And then I trained to become a guided autobiography instructor. And you're probably wondering what brought me to GAB. And although I recognize that my coach training involved essential skills, for me there was a piece that was missing, and that was personal story. I believe that stories mattered because they form the fabric of who we are. And the coach training program at the time disagreed. We were supposed to kind of cut to the chase and bottom line. And I always got into trouble because I let people tell me too much of the detail. So I would later discover Dr. David Drake's narrative coaching program, which would confirm my views. But in the meantime, I decided to research the importance of story. This led me to guided autobiography, to the website, and ultimately to instructor training. So that was my journey to GAB. And I'm just wondering, now that you know who we are, I wonder if we could take a moment to get to know you. And I know some of you have turned your cameras off and you're all on mute, but could you maybe just put in the chat box where you're from and how you came to be here? Power of stories. Why are stories important? Good stories contain the common threads of our human experience. While listening to someone's story, we see ourselves in it too. We inject the details of our own life into these tales, revisiting our personal beliefs and reconsidering our thought process. They point to our inner truth. Unlike being told what to do, what to think, or being served a list of external commands that promise success, so the 7 steps to better health or whatever, stories inspire us from within. They carry the magic of inward possibilities. They're waiting for manifestation. They remind us of our larger, grander, and more authentic self, and they empower us to forge forward even at times when we think we can't. The gentleman that you see in this picture is Jean Vanier. For those of you who are Canadian, his father was a much beloved Governor General, and he formed the Vanier Institute for the Family. Jean was a renowned Canadian philosopher, writer, and humanist who died in 2019. And he formed two international organizations for people with intellectual disabilities, L'Arche and Faith and Light. In his book, Becoming Human, he writes, "Where does a broader sense of belonging come from? I believe it begins with human contact, with friendship, and as we listen to each other's stories. We're all particularly touched when someone of another culture treats us kindly, even though we are not a member of that group, or when they reveal their inner pain, weakness, and difficulties. Perhaps it is then we feel more deeply this bonding and common humanity, because we all belong to the largest group of all, the human race. Telling stories is the best way to teach, persuade, and even understand ourselves. You're more than the star and author of your own life story. You're also the spin master. How you tell the tale reveals whether you see yourself as victim or victor, even when your story veers from the life that you have lived." What is guided autobiography? It's not reminiscence. It's not genealogy. It's not creating a family tree. It was created by Dr. James Byrne in the mid-70s. He created a tried and true methodology that for over 40 years has helped people document their life stories. He was the founding dean of the Davis School of Gerontology at the University of Southern California, or USC. He wrote 3 books on guided autobiography, conducted numerous research projects into the impact of GAB, all the while traveling worldwide to present and expand guided autobiography. The Byrne Center brings together people from diverse backgrounds. There are sociologists, psychologists, teachers, coaches, doctors, nurses, all different people have taken the GAB training course and run GAB courses around the world. It's committed to research and to enriching lives through writing and sharing the guided autobiography experience with others. There are many, many applications. It's been used in prisons, with survivor groups, disenfranchised people. There are more than 400 people worldwide that have been trained as guided autobiography instructors. And again, for those of you who are Canadian, there are only 12 in Canada. What it's not a course in the technical aspects of writing an autobiography. There are many books, workbooks, online programs that you can find on the subject of writing your autobiography. It's not therapy, although it is therapeutic. It is a semi-structured process for life review. It incorporates group experiences with autobiographical writing. It's led by a trained instructor. It uses a tested plan. It's the preparation of a personal history using a series of life themes. These themes help us gain access to memories and to organize them. It honors the complex threads that shape our lives and helps us to present them as the richly woven fabric of our life. This is a really nice way, I think, definition of guided autobiography. It's more like rummaging through a consignment shop. If you take the time to look, the most unusual finds are nestled beside the most ordinary memories. If you blow off the dust, nearly all will turn out to be treasures. It is a life history, your life history, told by the person who lived it, you, a form of nonfiction writing. It can be told in a number of ways, with humor, as an adventure, as a children's story, as a coming of age story. And why are personal histories so compelling? They're compelling because they tell us something about who we are. They connect us to one another, and they teach us, as Jean Vanier said, what it means to be human. Why write your story? Well, I guess there are a lot of reasons. Everyone who is alive has a story to tell. There's never been another you. No one knows your story as you do. And it does help you to make sense of your life one piece at a time. And by doing this, you challenge yourself to learn new things and gain new perspectives. Some of the reasons people write their autobiography: for their children or grandchildren, to preserve or elucidate a moment in history. Many write them for themselves. There's no right or wrong way to approach your autobiography. Some people create a literary work, very descriptive. Others are matter of fact. And I would say, don't be surprised if you begin in one place and end up in another. I certainly did. Teresa, I'm going to stop my sharing, and it's Teresa?
Yes. Okay. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the class structure, just what do you want to know? How we operate. So each week we will meet for 6 weeks for 2 hours each week. The first hour will be devoted to instruction, where the life theme for that week will be introduced. Participants are led through themes and priming questions that evoke memories of events once known, but maybe filed away, maybe forgotten seemingly. So how do we do this? Through the exercises related to the life themes given that week, you'll be giving sensitizing questions, tips, instruction, and discussion. This is all to help prepare the memory and inspire you to start writing on that theme. So you will take this information. We will be emailing you the questions, the theme, and handouts to be able to write at home. We won't be writing in class, except for a few little maybe free writes and some of the exercises that we do in class. The priming questions or sensitizing questions, it's a long list. It's usually a full page. And they're not meant to be answered literally, but just to get you thinking about your life more deeply. And when we first give you the theme, you may think, oh, I know what I'm going to write about. But then once you read the questions, other memories are going to come up, other ideas, and you're going to be looking at it deeper and maybe from a different angle. So the second hour of each week, and we'll have a short break in between, and then depending on the group size, we may move you into breakout rooms, because we like to keep the groups small and like six people per group. And then you'll bring your story to the class, and then the second half you read your story. And that's where the magic begins, I think. This is everyone's favorite part, is sharing the story, reading your stories out loud. It's one thing to write your stories, but then to share them in a group, get feedback, and to listen to other people's stories is a powerful thing. And it all comes together in this GAB experience. I think James Beeren was really onto something here. The story sharing is conducted in a safe way. We all agree to confidentiality, non-judgment, respectfulness. Things may come up in stories, political, religious, but that's a part of the story, and that's where it stays. We don't get into those types of discussions. We keep the feedback supportive and encouraging to the story writer. And it's non-judgmental. So, and then there's accountability, wanting to show up for all the sessions and participate in each group. Reading aloud, yes, to others sharing similar experience almost always takes people to a higher level of insight and understanding. Benefits. Well, definitely go deeper into your story and reach new depths of self-understanding. to develop new friendships. There's going to be a connection. You know, we all come from different backgrounds. We have different experiences. But you know, one of the things we are experiencing together all over the entire world is this pandemic. And when you share your stories, and you're going to find commonality and connection, it's just a part of it. There's no way to share your story and not feel connected to someone. And it may resonate with you, or you may learn something from it. To leave a legacy, you know, whether it's for your family, for future generations, or maybe just the hope that someday someone will pick up our stories and read it and learn from it, and that it resonates with them. You know, isn't that a hope for writing our stories? It activates the mind and the brain. You may have heard that writing is good for the soul. Well, it is. Writing with a GAB group provides opportunities to learn, share, and grow with a community of peers. The writing process stretches the writer to craft and imagine different perspectives and challenges them to dig deep. With benefits like improved moods, healing properties, and reinforcing a better quality of life. We can writing your story, sharing your stories, of course, lend to that. Finding out where I've been and where I'm going. And most of all, you know, have fun learning. We have fun in these groups, sharing and writing. Stories written from the heart. That's what we want. Just put the pencil to the page and write. I'm an advocate for using pen and paper rather than a computer when I write. I think there's something to the hand to the brain part of it that works. There's no wrong or right way to write your stories. Just as every life is unique and we all have different experiences and writing styles, people are often surprised at how well they do because they are writing about material that means so much to them. People often say, oh, I don't have a story, or I'm not a writer. In this group, you don't have to be a writer. You know, you don't need to be wanting to write your memoir to sell, or you may, because everybody has a story and everyone should share them. Reconnect generations. I was close to my one grandmother that told me stories. I was the youngest grandchild on both sides of my family. But the one grandmother loved to sit and tell me stories, because I would sit on the sofa beside her and listen. I was very close to her. My other grandmother was more closed off and didn't share the family stories. And I feel like I would have been much closer to her had she done that, especially now looking back through her old photographs, which I've inherited. I wish I had known more. I wish she had told me more stories. A sense of accomplishment. I mean, how many of you have thought about doing this for a long time? Wanting to write your stories, wanting to leave a legacy. Maybe you've received a book to fill out. You know, how did that go? Filling out your life story in a book with prepared questions. So, but once you get your stories written, however you do it, it is a sense of accomplishment, something to leave behind. And for yourself. You might want to assemble a book of stories once you're finished, whether it just be in a binder or a hardbound book. And again, it helps you review where you've been, where you are, and where you want to be. You may even rediscover old interests, or you may find new ones through your writing. We had a participant in our last course that changed her career path as a result of the class. And so our upcoming class begins February 2nd and will run for 6 weeks on Tuesdays from 11 to 1. We chose that time of day, Eastern time, and we chose that time because, you know, it wouldn't be so early for those on the West Coast and not so late for those in Europe wanting to attend. If those times absolutely do not work for you, please give us any suggestions. We do have a backup And because we do only accept 12 in a class, so we can keep the group small. If we have more sign up, we will definitely be adding more classes. And now I would like to open it up to questions. So I will give it back to Dawn. So if
there you go. Thank you, Teresa.
First of all, Dawn, if you want to add anything, if there's anything you'd like to add.
I guess there is one thing I would like to add, or at least bring up, and it's only because Cheryl had brought it up to me when I became a guided autobiography instructor. My best friend from when I was 14 and I took the training together, and Cheryl had never had friends who took the course together. And she was worried that it was going to be a problem. It wasn't a problem for us because we've known each other since we were 14. We were very close and we had a very close relationship to begin with. So there were not really any surprises or any intimidation about sharing where we'd been or what we felt. We did learn new things about one another that we'd never learned before. And again, that didn't hamper our relationship. But I guess I'm just saying, if you're thinking of doing it with your best friend and you don't have that kind of a relationship, you may not get as much out of the course as you would have if you had done it on your own. So that would be the first thing that I would say, that there's an incredible sense of freedom that comes in a GAB class, because you're so bonded to the people who are in that class, and because it's non-judgmental and because it's confidential, that you do feel that when you write, you can write from the heart. So I'm just saying, it would, if you're doing it with your best friend, it might dilute that experience, and that's entirely up to you. The other thing that happened in our instructor training class, again, it was a first for Cheryl, was we had one person who went through the whole training program who, for whatever reason, would not turn on her camera. And as I said in my note to you, we don't record GAB sessions, and she wouldn't turn on her camera. And that felt really weird. It felt like there was this person who was looking in on us, but not really participating. So that's what, Teresa, you were getting at when you talked about accountability. Like, we're really asking for full commitment. So non-judgmental, show up every week, participate, turn on your camera, be part of the group.
Okay, Dawn, we have a question from Bob. How long have Dawn and Teresa been giving guide autobiography instruction? That's a good question. I've been doing this for the GAB, the life story workshops, for about 5 years. I was teaching group in person, and it was this past spring, as a result of the pandemic, that a group of us came together as a task force to reach out to people who felt isolated during the pandemic. And I met Dawn and started working with her. That's the first question. Dawn, you want to?
Yes, for myself, it's been a little less than Teresa, maybe 4 years. I initially, as I said in my introduction, I initially took the GAB course because I wanted to use it with coaching clients. And that's where I started. I've always been very comfortable in a one-to-one relationship, and I found that guided autobiography was a great jumping off point for my clients. Maybe, part of being a coach is establishing trust. And it was a very good way to begin to establish trust. And we could really drill down into some of the things that came out of their stories, because they didn't need a whole hour to read whatever they were writing on. And then when the opportunity came up to participate in the pro bono COVID group, which Teresa and I did for a senior citizens community in Oklahoma, we both agreed to do it, and we became partners, and that's how we have enjoyed working ever since.
Okay, and he also asked, do you offer one-on-one coaching? In that sense, I mostly work with people, and yeah, sort of, not as much as the groups, but help. Like I have a client right now working on her family history, and I have worked one-on-one with people in their personal stories. Yes.
Okay. And yes, I would work as a coaching as well. Sorry, Alicia.
It's okay. I unmute myself.
Oh, that's
Is
okay.
that allowed?
Yes, of course.
We want to go ahead and stop recording then? If
Yes,
people want to.
I can do that.
I am okay. I don't have